down and said that his precious people and strangers clearly had different prices. Tears immediately began to flow from his eyes and the question sounded, is he really going to lose everything? At that moment, photos of his parents appeared under the brunette's feet. An incredible fear was read in his eyes. First, he looked at the man, then at the woman. A moment later, the young man lowered his head and simply fell silent. The world around him at that moment literally began to collapse, and also acquire red hues. Everything around was shaking and slowly turning into his personal hell, and the young man's eyes were filled with madness. The brown-haired man extended his hand to him and said that he had to go and save those he loved. And after these words, the enemy really went in his direction. He extended his hand, and then the guys hugged each other. For some time they stood there and did not move. Then the brunette raised his head and said a question, is he really scared? Then he hugged him tighter and said that everything was fine. Summer pushed the main character away from himself. He looked at him with a smile and said that everything could be solved, it is better not to act on your principle. He frowned and added that these two were simply omnipotent. And suddenly Lloyd found himself alone, and the sky above was clear. In the distance, it even seemed like the sun had appeared. Its bright rays illuminated everything around. And he found her, smiled and agreed with this statement. Meanwhile, in the corridor, the crystal was spreading its powers more and more. The guy finally came to his senses. The brunette looked at him and did not understand what was happening. And he turned around and with all his appearance it seemed that now everything was fine. Then he began to shout that the inner core was still a monster. Then he grabbed the enemy by the collar. Then he swung and said that at the same time, inside and out, he was the same. And a moment later, with all his might, he punched him in the face. The blow was so strong that his opponent flew far back. The queen at that moment was already approaching them and shouting that she did not understand how much time had passed. One of the soldiers explained that it was already about 5 minutes, but the cold there was so strong. Literally a huge column of this icy wind rose from the tunnel. People shouted that just approaching the place could lead to frostbite. Only one of them was not stopped. The queen,